remember, first of all, there were Jacob and Esau that were jealous of each other. And then Jacob, this is Jacob, and he stole Esau's birthright. Remember, they were twin brothers. And then his brother was so angry after he stole the birthright that he had to run away because Esau was going to kill him. And so he went away and he went to his uncle's place in Padanaram, and there the uncle had two beautiful daughters, and he fell in love with Rachel. And then there was Leah, the older sister, who was his sister. And anyway, he ended up marrying both of them. And then, as the situation would have it, they become jealous of each other because Leah knew that Jacob loved Rachel more. And then they started having children. Leah had more children. Then Rachel was jealous. Oh, there was a lot of jealousy and unhappiness. Remember, we talked about it last year. Jealousy gets us nowhere. Jealousy is not a good thing. In jealousy, we should just, we said, if we compare ourselves with ourselves or with one another, we're not wise. We need to just be content with what God's given us and don't be looking jealously at other people. But that's the way it was. And when Joseph was born, he was the first child of Rachel. And so his father, Jacob, loved him especially a lot. Really, really loved him. And then later she had another son named Benjamin. And because he loved Rachel so much, Jacob had a soft place in his heart for Joseph and Benjamin, especially for Joseph. And Joseph was the kind of young man that did what his father asked him to. We don't know exactly, but the other brothers were jealous of him. They were children of Leah and two other servant women. So there were 10 sons altogether, 11 sons. There were Joseph, Benjamin, and 10 other sons. And so they were quite jealous of Joseph. And we don't know, somehow they got to talking and they noticed that Jacob loved Joseph very much. And the more they saw that, and he shouldn't have showed a preference, but he did, he gave Joseph a special coat, and then that made him hate him even more. Here he is, remember, with that beautiful coat. It could have been that he had more responsibility. Maybe they even gave him responsibility over his older brothers. We don't know. But it made them really, really jealous of him. So they hated him. And they argued with him. You know, arguing, that's another thing he might have learned. Arguing makes you unhappy. So he was quite unhappy in that home. And so then it came the time when Jacob told Joseph to go on a special errand for him. He told him, go look for your brothers. The brothers, they were pastoral people. They took care of sheep. And sometimes they had to go far to find nice grass and food for the sheep. And so the brothers had gone up north to Shechem. That was about 80 miles. And so one day Jacob said to Joseph, he said, would you please take these supplies, go check on your brothers. Maybe they'd been gone for a week or so. He wanted to see how they were doing with the flock. Go check on your brothers and see how they're doing. You know, I bet if it was me, I probably would have thought, oh, Dad, do I really have to go visit those mean brothers? Here they were with the sheep. And he knew how mean they could be to him, how they'd often taunted him and called him names and ganged up on him. But he was remember, he was obedient to God and to his father. He said, very well. He said, very well, I will do what you ask. But maybe inside he wasn't too thrilled about it. And his dad said, go on up to Shechem And it was a long way. He had to go by himself. And so he said, yes, Father, yes. He didn't complain or whine. That might be the case with us. Sometimes we might complain or whine. Oh, I don't want to do that. But he did. He did what his father had asked him. And he got up there, and sure enough, let's see. Oh, he got up there. He went the 80 miles. Must have taken him 2 or 3 days maybe to get up there. And he looked around, and he didn't see his brothers. He said, I thought Dad said they were supposed to be in Shechem. And they weren't. You know what he could have said? He could have just said, phew, they're not here. I guess I did what Dad said. I came to Shechem. I'm just going to go on back home. I've done enough. And he had, but that wasn't really what his father had wanted. His father wanted him to see the brothers and check on them. So as he was wandering around looking, maybe asking people, a man came up to him and said, he asked the man, he said, have you seen 10 men? Those are my brothers, and they're shepherds, and they're with all their sheep and goats and maybe other animals, maybe they had camels. Have you seen them? They said they would be in Shechem. And the man said, yes, as a matter of fact, I did see them. They said they were going to Dothan. Dothan, now, was about 12 miles away. Again, Joseph could have said, 12 miles. I don't want to go 12 miles. But he did. He did. He said, I want to finish what my dad told me to do. So he went to Dothan. Pretty soon he comes up over the hill, and he can see his brothers down at the bottom. And already he can tell that they're talking about him. They're pointing at him. They're laughing. He said, uh-oh, now what do they have in store for me? He knew that he wasn't going to have a warm welcome. He was wearing his coat of colors that they hated. And before he came down the hill, they said, let's kill him. Let's kill him and get rid of him. Then we can forget about all those dreams he thought of being better than us and ruling over us. That's a bunch of malarkey. That can't be. Let's just kill him. And they said, yeah, good idea. When he got there, maybe they took his supplies and they ripped his coat off. They were so mean. They insulted him. And the brother Reuben said, hey, no, wait. He said, let's not kill him right away. Let's just throw him in that well over there. They called it a cistern. They had to dig wells for water, and it was dry. He said, put him over in there right now. They took the coat away. And Joseph probably saying, please, please, please. Nobody was there to see. That's why they could do it. When they were close to home, they wouldn't do something like that to their brother. But they were far away from Jacob, and they said, we'll tell him that wild beasts ate him, lions and jackals ate him. So they threw him in the cistern, and Reuben said, I'll come back later and rescue him. But while Reuben was going to look at the sheep, the rest of them sat down to eat, and along came some Ishmaelites. Those were people from another tribe, and they were traveling through with their camels. Those were traders. You know, in our day, if we're going to trade or buy and sell things, we use a truck or a boat or a plane. In those days, they used camels. I was in Niger, and I saw camels with big, heavy loads. I saw people carrying things on camels. They're very, very strong. And so they came through, and one of the brothers said, hey, let's just, instead of killing him, really, he is our brother. He's our flesh and our blood. If we were to kill him, we couldn't do that. How about, let's sell him. We'll sell him for a slave, then we'll have some money, and then we won't have to, really, we don't want to have blood on our hands. So they did. They sold him for 20 shekels of silver. And the Midianites said, or the Ishmaelites said, yes, sure, we'll take him. He looks like a strong young lad. We'll take him. We can sell him down in Egypt. Joseph thought, Egypt, that's really, really far. That's hundreds of miles away. He said, what's happening? But he trusted God, and he had done whatever his father had asked him to do. He was obedient. And off he went. And they said, okay. And then they took a goat, just like they had said. They took a young goat from the flock. They had Joseph's coat. They kind of tore it in pieces, and they took some of it and dipped it in the blood. Then when they went back to Hebron, where their father was, what was it? Almost 100 miles, 92 miles back. They saw Joseph. Joseph was on his way down to Egypt, and they took it, and the father was broken hearted. He said, oh, how could it be that my Joseph would die like that? I sent him off, and maybe I shouldn't have sent him by himself. He felt so broken. And the brother said, yep, it must have been wild animals. It must have been wild animals. And when the brothers felt kind of bad when they saw, he said, I will go down to my grave with a broken heart. And there was just nothing they could do to comfort him. He had the cloth with the blood on it, and he just was sad all the time. And, maybe when we do something bad, we would use a lie to cover up. That's what they did. They said, yeah. And the father said, well, maybe the wild beasts ate him. They didn't even have to lie. But even the fact that they brought the cloth, that was a lie, wasn't it? Because the wild beasts had not eaten Joseph. That was a lie. Sometimes we tell a half-truth. That's the same as a real lie. And then they saw the consequences, and they said, oh, we didn't know that our father would react this badly to it. So we'll find out. It doesn't look like there could be any good end to this story. But we learn that deceit, lying, jealousy, all those things are terrible in a family or among friends. And we need to stay away from them. We really need to stay away from them, and all lying or telling half-truths. So that's all I have for today. Lord, help us to learn from this story, to be honest, to do our best at every job we're given, and to always be honest no matter how painful it might be. Help us always to tell the truth. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.